What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another little off-topic discussion about mental health issues. My good friend Jason, what's up, man?
What's going on, Tyson? Always a pleasure, as always, to come on the show, man.
Well, first of all, thank you for your time and thank you for being so honest and upfront and just real and raw about things. We did one of these a couple months ago, and the feedback and reactions were wild. But I think it's because you were so transparent and just so forthcoming about things, man. And I want to thank you for that.
Hey, man, and I thank you for allowing me to have a platform to do that, man. If there's anything that I learned in this past year, especially with me starting the podcast and everything, I wanted to build a career and also just a life on honesty. This is just one of the things that I feel like I had a lot of problems with when I was younger because I was too afraid of how I would be perceived by everybody else, namely my own family and friends. But after a while, I was like, you know what, screw it, man, to hell with it, because at the end of the day, I got to stop worrying about so many other people, and I need to start focusing on myself. Not to sound like me being selfish or anything, but if I'm not going to look out for myself, who else is?
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things when you're dealing with like depression and anxiety. It's like right now in this world, the reason why we're doing these videos is there's so many people suffering in silence. They are.
Right.
They're, you see people out and about, everybody looks so happy, but then, they're not happy, but they're scared to talk about it. Like they're scared to be judged, they're scared to talk about it, and they're suffering in silence. And then other things happen. And the reason why I do this is like, and I've seen it firsthand. Like I've actually, over the past decade, I've actually had 4 friends that, they took their lives. And it was
Right.
due to, and that's just like, how can this be possible when I just saw you 2 days ago and you're one of the happiest people around? You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
people that you are jovial, happy, you see them all over the place. Next thing you know, they take their own lives because of they were overcome by depression or anxiety or some kind of other mental illness. And it's like, it's just, we need a world where people feel more comfortable talking about it and they're not worried about being judged. They feel it's a comfortable conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I personally have never dealt with anybody. I've never experienced anybody personally. Fortunately, you have. I believe you told me at one point it was like 7. I mean, to me, that's 7 way too much.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. A
It's
lot of people.
yeah, but that still doesn't change the fact that it doesn't make it like that I'm not sympathetic and empathetic to the situation. I mean, just because I haven't had anybody personally in my life that has gone through something like that or has taken their own life doesn't mean that I know it's not out there. I mean, I didn't know this person personally, obviously, but one person that when it happened to and it really affected me on a personal level for some reason was Robin Williams. I mean, this guy was a big part of my childhood. I watched every one of his movies, and he was just not only a phenomenal comedian and a genuine actor, but just an all around genuinely good guy. And I also thought to myself, like, we're never going to see another human being like this. And I'm very fortunate that I got to see somebody like this in my lifetime. And it's just unfortunate that this was a guy that spent his entire life and career trying to bring joy to the rest of the world. But unfortunately, the only person that he couldn't bring joy to was himself. And it was just a result of things. And that was a wake up call. It was terrible for me to hear and see, but it was definitely a wake up call. And hopefully it reached out to others. And I know that in previous episodes that you and me have been on, you talked about like Chris Cornell and
Chester Bennington got me big
yeah.
time. And it's like, and that's the thing is like you see Chester just a day before it happened. He was with his family, hanging out with his family. And that's one of the biggest things about mental health. It's just like a lot of people, you become like, I'll speak for myself, dude. You can fool a lot of people. Like you can go out in public. I mean, I teach at an MMA school. I do podcasts, all this stuff. Dude. You can be the happiest person, cracking jokes. And the minute that thing is over, you go back until you're like, all right, I got that over with now. And now I can go back into like, you go back into your little shell and you go back into your unhappiness. And that happiness and that gray area overtakes your head. You know what I mean? It's just like that's the thing that's the problem. Like people are struggling. People don't know how to do it. And people are scared to talk about it because they don't want to get judged. And that's one of the biggest, that's the stigma. That's a stigma that everybody talks about. Like break the silence, like be willing and have the courage to say, you know what? I'm struggling. And we talked about this in the past. And sometimes you may open up to somebody and not get the reaction you want. You may open to somebody and they say, you know what? Get over it, dude. Everybody gets depressed or whatever. Like, like you may not get that instant reaction that you need or help support you need. But at the same time, you may also get it too. Like you got to take that chance because there are a lot of people that are willing to help and listen and give you the guidance and support that you need.
Absolutely, man. And like I said, on many occasions on, my platform and your platform that it's not what we want it to be, but we're definitely seeing signs of progression and we're seeing things like you, like a perfect example with the whole break the stigma thing. I think it's a phenomenal thing that you've been doing and you've been very outspoken about it. And so much that I've even told my audience about that and they've been receptive to you and what you're doing. And it's a good thing. But unfortunately, we also have these people out there, and I don't know if you like. Here's the funny thing. You're an MMA guy. I'm not, but there's a pretty popular person out there that was formerly of MMA. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to give him any shine. Because honestly, I think he's being a dick. But you probably know who I am, what I'm talking about. But he actually has his own platform, and he not very far along ago he said something about how depression is not a real thing. It's something that I don't want to. I don't remember exactly what it was, but basically he was just shitting on the idea that depression is real. And not only did I think, as a person who suffers from his own demons, I thought that was offensive. And the other thing that I was thinking about is you're sending out a bad message out there to people that are really dealing with real life problems and actually suffer from depression. And you're basically saying that you're not important. It doesn't matter. And I think that's a dangerous message to send out because we already have enough people that are suffering, and we don't need any more people to take their own lives because they feel like they're the only ones that feel like this.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. And you see that in certain areas, but then there's the opposite. So you see a lot more people, what I give credit, but a lot more prominent people in the world that are speaking out about it. Like,
yes,
you have Jay Glazer, for Fox Sports. He has
mm-hmm.
he's openly admitting all the stuff he deals with depression. He openly speaks about it. Like a lot of bands I follow, like, Shine Down, Killswitch Engage, all these guys, they're all speaking out openly more and saying, you know what, we need to understand that people are suffering. People need to get help, and it's okay to not be okay. And that's like, oh, it's a good catchphrase. No, but it's like, there's nobody perfect in this world, dude. Like, everybody has some kind of problem. Like, and I think that I was talking to somebody at the last Jets practice. He pulled me aside and said, listen, man, you know what? I really respect what you're doing because a lot of people, all we see is social media. All we see is that. He goes, and this guy was struggling, man. He could tell he was dealing with some stuff. And he's like, you go through social media, all you see is everybody doing all these great things. And I don't have any of that, or I'm not doing that, or I'm not capable of that. And I'm like, you know what you need to do, bro? I was like, that's not reality. Social media is not reality. Social media is fantasy land. According to social media, everybody's living their best life. That's just not the fact, dude. I'm like, so what you can do is two things. Unplug from social media and just take a break from it. Go away from it. You know what? That's it. Maybe it's not helping you. Go away from it and don't use it like that, or treat it for what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you can't compare yourself to what you see. Worry about your own little world, just kind of focus on that, man, because it triggers a lot of people, man. People get down from what they think everybody else is doing and living.
Right. And you also make a good point as bringing up social media, because one thing that I see that a lot of people have been doing is they've actually been using it as a cry for help. I mean, if they're always sharing these memes or these quotes and so on and so forth. And they're basically telling anybody that is willing to listen that, hey, I'm going through some shit right now. I don't know how to deal with it. I wish I had somebody to talk to. But there's people out there that they'll feel sympathetic, but they don't want to, like, be involved in that because they feel, some way about it, or they feel like it's not their business. But the point that I'm getting at is that social media has consumed our lives so much to the point where we actually think like it's our own therapy. Like, we feel like if we get this quote out there and, lie to ourselves and so on and so forth, then they're going to think that that's going to, be a fix, but it's only a temporary fix and it's not going to really solve the issue at hand. And then afterwards, what happens? You just keep on, digging your face into the phone and hoping that somebody is going to listen and pay attention and, give out a reaching hand to help out. And the crazy thing is that when you have those people that try to reach out to you, then, it's almost like, you don't want the help, or you feel like you're being fairly misjudged or whatever. And it's just, it's a very, very interesting and, unfortunate thing. But the point is that social media is not what it's appear to be. It's fantasy land, and people that are really dealing with struggles out there, don't look for social media as being the answer to being the cure-all for whatever you're going through, because if anything, that's just going to add more fuel to the fire and so on and so forth.
Well, that's what I was talking to him, because I was like, the conversation kind of caught me off guard, and I was like, all right, I'm like, let's talk about it. I'm like, dude, I'm like, you don't really see many people go actively on social media and be like, man, I'm in really the gray area today. I'm really friggin' depressed. I'm really struggling. You don't see people writing that in their social media pages. You don't see it. You see, hey, man, I just went to a concert. I just went to vacation. I went here. I went to the pool. I went here. Like, you only see, I'm like, you don't see what the struggles people are dealing with. I said, so you don't compare yourself to them. And I said, also, like, you, at some point, you just got to focus on your own life, your own accomplishments, your own goals, and what you're trying to do for yourself. Like, you don't, like, you're like, you can say like I'm trying to run marathons right now, dude. Right.
Right.
So I'll be running down the boardwalk. I got a pretty good pace going. I'm like, man, I'm feeling really good. And I'll get dusted by like a 75-year-old man. I'm like, how is that possible? I'm like,
Mm.
like you're sitting, you're like, I think then you get like, man, this is crazy. But I'm like, you know what? He's probably been doing this for 30 years. I'm doing it for a year. So to compare myself against him, it's apples and oranges. And I think a lot of times people, when you're struggling with mental health issues and you look at social media, you don't know where they are in their life. You're in different stages of life, man. Like everybody's genuinely different. You have, we all have peaks and valleys. We all different parts in our life. It's like, it's really not reasonable to do that. So what you need to do is say, okay, listen, where am I at today? Where was I at yesterday? Where am I at today? And where do I want to be tomorrow? And have your short-term goals and your long-term goals and focus on that. And don't worry about what anybody else is doing, man.
Exactly.
Like that's like it. And that was what I tried to like kind of communicate to him. Like, dude, don't worry about it. I'm like, do you have a job that you enjoy? Do you have this? I'm like, first of all, enjoy what you already have. Like, embrace what you have. Whatever it is, like it doesn't, enjoy what you have, enjoy your accomplishments, embrace what you have, and then set moderate goals to get, go forward with it. But just don't get consumed about the neighbor, the friend, the this, the that. I'm like, you got to be kind of focused on yourself, man.
Yeah, especially when, these people, family, friends, acquaintances, co-workers, whatever, girlfriends, whatever, they'll care to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, it all starts with you. I mean, they can only help out so much, but if you're not willing to help yourself, then what gives? But absolutely, yeah. And listen, I can't stress it enough. I mean, I've actually got to that point now where, do I have social media? Yeah, I do, like everybody else. But at this point, I'm just using it to just promote my platform. I'm not trying to show. I'm not one of those guys that tries to, every time I go out to dinner, I'm taking a picture of my food or whatever, and like showing my best life or whatever. I've noticed that giving myself a break from social media and everyday life has actually been beneficial for me, because I'm not worried about anybody else's problems. I'm not, I'm not trying to make a goal of like, getting this many views or likes, or, making sure that I have, the right quote for the day to, get validation from other people. You got to get validation from yourself. And, going back to the whole thing with social media, listen, people, you can share all those quotes that you want. Nobody's telling you that you can't do that or anything, but that's not going to be the cure all. If anything, those are just words, and it's actions that matter more than anything. And also do it for yourself. Don't do it for the likes. Don't do it for the views. Don't do it for validation. The only person that you really need to worry about is yourself. And once you crack that open, then everything else, as far as validation, everybody else is going to see through that, and they're going to be receptive to that. But it all starts with you, nobody else.
Yeah, and that's well said. And that's the one thing too you see a lot, where you can see people, they'll do certain things for like the attention and all this. But like, if you're going to truly live the life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to really inspire people, instead of posting these quotes, how are you helping somebody in the community? How are you helping your friends? How are you helping other people? Like, like that to me means a lot more than, saying, look, I just got, 75 likes on Instagram because I posted a Joe Rogan quote. You know what I mean? But like, are you truly living up? Do you truly want to help people? And it's pretty obvious people that do that and don't do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me, it's like, listen, like I'm trying to find any platform I can to tell people, listen, it's okay to be struggling, but the most important thing is you need to just have the courage to get help. That's the most important thing.
Yes.
And it's not going to be easy, dude. Like it's an uncomfortable conversation. It is. It's just, it takes a lot of courage to do it, but it's like, you need to, because it's like, it can overcome your life to the point where you're held back, whether it's relationships, whether it's your job, whether it's your family, it's going to hold you back, and you're not going to maximize your full potential life because you're still stuck in that shell of just like, I'm overcome by depression, overcome by anxiety. I can't do these things. If you say, you know what, I need help, that is the most courageous step you can take to help get the help, to get the assistance that you need.
And to me, one of the advice that I have for other people out there is just find something that is going to make you feel whole. Like, as cliche and as corny as it sounds, maybe, that I feel like ever since I started the podcast, I feel like this has actually given me purpose. And, it's just a little, I can understand it's a little silly platform and so on and so forth, but it has given me purpose, because before that ever happened, I felt like I was just a regular cog in the machine, where I was just going to wake up, eat my breakfast, go to work, come home, do whatever I do, go to sleep, and then do it all over again. Not doing anything significant, or not doing anything that's, breaking the cycle. And I know that for you, besides the YouTube channel and everything else, like with you, it's running, it's doing all these things for yourself. And that's one of the things that I love everything that you do is because you could actually feel and see the passion in it. And that's the takeaway that I get from it. And I feel like I encourage others to find what it is that you enjoy doing. And most importantly, like we were just saying, do it for yourself. Don't do it for others.
Yep. And that's the most important thing is you can't do things to try to impress others. You can't do things to try to, like it's got to be something you genuinely enjoy for yourself that you get satisfaction at. And that could be the most obscure thing, dude. It could be like making stick figures. It could be doing anything. But the thing is, like I know that I had to do a lot of different things to get me out of where I was. And it was like I had to keep myself mentally and physically active so I wouldn't sit in silence and get stuck in my own head. So I had to find ways to do it. And then I knew when I would go down those paths where I was like, this is, I knew where I was going. I'm like, you know what? Let's get outside and go for a run. Let's go do things. But it was like things that, like you said with the podcast, dude, like things you start to enjoy and you grow with it. And it just keeps you going down the wrong path. You know what I mean? And it's really, really important to find those things. And it's just, and I cannot stress enough. You can't do this stuff for other people. Like a lot of times, like, people do things for the wrong reasons. Like, oh, well, why are you becoming a bodybuilder? Well, I want, like, dude, do you really enjoy it? Or is it a job for you? Like, do you genuinely enjoy going to the gym? Or is it true to try to impress somebody else? You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be something you got to find. And it could be just something like as simple as when you're going down this thing, go on YouTube and watch videos or something like that. Do things to just occupy your mind. Like, find outlets that it's instead of just sitting there, whether it's in the darkness or by yourself or wherever it is, find things to just help you just change that moment.
Yeah, even in simple things like just reading a book, which I feel like is a lost art. I mean, you could do everything that you just said right now, but I'm also looking at from the aspect of like take a break from your phone and maybe probably like read a book or go for a run or whatever. And that's one of the things that I realized about you, Tyson. I feel like you do a lot of these these MMA things and you do a lot of these runs and everything. I feel like that's become your therapy. So you found what works for you, and it's working out for you, and I'm proud of you for doing that. And you look like you're in fucking great shape, man. I wish I was in the shape that you were in. So,
but you know what it is though, dude? Like I know that for right now, like I love training, I love boxing, kickboxing, I love the sport, but that involves other people. For me, what I realize is those runs, however long or short they are my mental escape from the world. I put on music and I'm lost for an hour, 2 hours, and what you do is just recollect and refocus your head. Be like, you know what? I'm all over the place, and you just kind of you like unwind, you get regrouped, you get refocused, like, all right, and you sweat, you just feel better, but it's like you had to get that release out. You know what I mean? It's just like the escape from the world. Like I'll go to the beach sometimes, dude, by myself, throw my earbuds in and sit there for 2 hours and not talk to a soul and be fine with it because you just need that downtime to just regroup your thoughts and get back on track, because sometimes you get overcome by the world. Like even like if you're not dealing with anxiety, depression, this world is fucked up, dude. Like it's very easy to get consumed by it and overcome by it and overwhelmed, and you don't know what to do, and you get panicked and you get anxiety. It's very easy to happen. And sometimes you're like, you know what? All right, I got to reset. However you do it, find what it is and find that reset button and try to do it as often as you can. Some people meditate. Some people go to yoga. Some people, like whatever it is you can do to do it, you have to do it. You got to keep yourself, get that, kind of restore that calmness at times.
Right. And I mentioned this before on your show and on my show, but I feel like it bears repeating because this is not something that is just going to go away with one conversation. And it really goes in line with the whole break the stigma thing that you like to speak about all the time. For people out there that they need to feel like they need to find an outlet, or they feel like they need to talk to somebody and they want to do the whole professional help thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. There's that thing a couple years ago where people think that it was like a sign of weakness if you wanted to look for professional help or whatever. And me coming from a Hispanic family, that was a very big thing for us, because let's say hypothetically, if I wanted to go see somebody professionally and I needed to talk about whatever I was going through, if I mentioned that to a family member, especially my immediate family, and this being, I don't know if this is more of a Hispanic thing or just a family thing in general, they'd be like, oh, that's fine, I'm glad you do that, but whatever you do, don't tell them what happens in the family. And sometimes that's counterproductive, because the things that is affecting your well-being and what's affecting your mental health are the problems at home. I mean, what if I'm having a problem with a family member, but they're telling me don't speak about that, and because that's supposed to be in-house, and to me it's counterproductive, and that's why I feel like it falls into the same category where you're worrying too much about what others think. You're going to be afraid of how they're going to act or what they're going to say if you actually speak your mind on something that's actually bothering you. And it's like I said, it's just counterproductive, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm glad that we're, trying to break the stigma, but we still live in a society, especially like with our families, that we feel like we have to please everybody else.
Well,
And
yeah,
that, and,
because
we got to be loyal to a fault.
there's that label, man. There's that label that he's depressed, he's weak, he's this, he's that. Like, and that's a label, dude. It is, and that's a stigma that pisses me off, dude. And there's a difference between being depressed, where it's overcoming and you're really in a tough spot, and being sad. And I'm not discounting people that are sad. Like, people can be sad, but depression overcomes your life, dude. Like, it is like you don't want to leave the house. You can't get out of your own head. You can't see a bright spot in anything, no matter what you've accomplished, what you've done, or what you're going to do. You cannot see any happiness out of it. Like, you don't see it, right? I mean, that's what happened, dude. Like, you would sit there and be like, you know what? You could have just, whatever, ran the best half marathon in your life, have a great job, have this, and you will sit there on the couch and just don't understand what the world is about, don't understand where you're going, and don't understand why you should leave the house, because you just don't get it. That's the difference between depression and being sad, right? That, for me, it is. It's a mental health issue,
right?
And it's overcoming, and it's not a switch. Like, and that's what. And people think like, oh man, just get over it, or just go do this, just go that. And I told you last time I talked about this. When I first understood that I had this problem, first of all, it was anxiety was first, and then it was depression. Like, I reached out to people. I tried to talk to people about it, and they just didn't understand. Yeah. Like, come on, man. Like, just take a Xanax, go do this, or they discount it. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, this is costing me my job. This is costing me. I don't want to go out in a social environment. Like, I don't want to make a speech. I don't want to teach a class. I don't want to go nowhere, because I'm petrified. Like, I'm overcome by these emotions. And they was like, oh man, you're overreacting. You're just being what? I'm like, what?
Overthinking, all that.
Yeah. It's like, and people just didn't get it. So I'm like, all right. And this is a few years back. So like, now there's a lot more, thank God there's a lot more educational stuff out there. We learned a lot more how to cope with these things. So then you go into a bigger shell, because like, all right, I've tried to reach out to people. It's been pretty much spit in my face. I go to a doctor, and he was like, well, they didn't really know how to handle it. It was just kind of like, then he said, well, you try a Xanax, see what happens there. But it was like the reaction wasn't what I wanted. I'm like, wow, how come nobody understands me? And then the same thing you said, me, or it's a sign of weakness. You have a flaw. Well, first of all, everybody's got some kind of flaw. Nobody's perfect. Right. Secondly, like, who the fuck are people to judge? Like, dude, like, we should be in a society where everybody wants to help everybody. Like, dude, if you have a problem, dude, text me. I got you, dude. I'll help you. Or if I can't help you, you know what? Let me find a way to help you. They had that new 988 hotline out there. That's right. You can call that. Or there's therapists, there's online communities, there's chats, there's all kinds of shit. But it's so sad that for so long, people were scared to talk about, because they're so scared because they're weak. It's not weak.
No, I mean, it's like, do you remember a while back, people were actually even using that term shrink, because they thought that it would belittle yourself to go see a therapist? Yeah. They even had a term for it, a negative term for it. And but listen, you absolutely make some great points. And the thing also is that listen, it just bears repeating all over and over that it's okay to be not okay. Yeah. You just got to find what's good for you, and more importantly, man, just do it for yourself, man. I mean, I don't think I could be any more clearer than that. Yeah, it all starts with you.
And the not funny thing, it wasn't funny at all. Like, about, I don't know, it's probably 2 months ago, I had I was in a rough spot, dude. Like, I had some unfortunate things in my personal life. I did want to touch on the subject. I'm sorry. Keep going. So I started to spiral a little bit, and I'm like, man, I thought I've had a pretty good containment of my depression and how I handle things. I kind of know my triggers. I know how to get out of it. I know when I'm in those spots. But I was like, all right, things aren't going real well right now. And the things I try to do to get myself out of it aren't working either. And I was like, shit, like, now what? Like, running's not helping, training's not helping, music's not helping. Like, I'm really in a tough spot here. I can't get out of my own head. Like, I wasn't sleeping at all. I was miserable. And I was like, this is really bad. So I go to this barbecue with a good friend of mine, just hanging out. And I'm like, you know what? I got to say something. Like, I got to talk to somebody, because I can't keep it in. Like, I don't know what to do. Right? Like, it was overcoming me. Truly, it was driving me crazy. So I'm like, listen, man, I started talking to him about it. Dude, I couldn't believe it. He not only could he relate to what I was going through, he went through the same situation about 2 years ago. And I was like, what? I'm like, you're kidding me. And he gave me the best advice. He probably doesn't even know this. He probably has no idea how much he helped me. But it was such a relief where I was like, wait a minute. I'm okay. This is okay. My human reaction is normal. What I'm feeling is normal. What's going on is normal. It's just, this is how I have to get out of it. And this is how I cope with it. And this is what I do going forward. And dude, it was just like an enormous relief where it was like a simple conversation that probably lasted about 12 minutes long,
Mhm.
completely got me out of the problem I was in. Not problem, but that mindset where I was just overcome. And I was like, dude, this is exactly what we talk about. Like sometimes you got to reach out for help and you got to talk to somebody. And that's what I did, dude. And it was just like, holy shit. Like, thank God we had this conversation.
Yeah. No, that's great, man. I'm glad you go there. And I'm gonna be transparent with you, man. I remember that we were having some conversations personally between you and me, and I'm not gonna get into all what it was about, but I did sense that something was going on with you. I just didn't
Yeah.
know how to go about it. But I knew that as far as being your friend and a fellow content creator, I was just not gonna leave you hanging. I legitimately was taking time out of my personal day to making sure that, Tyson is gonna go to bed a better in a better feeling than he was this earlier than we were talking. And I don't know if it helped at all, but the point is that I was trying to be there for somebody that I
Yeah.
really respect and care about.
No, and I appreciate it, dude. Because this is the first time in a long time where I was like, man, like I can't believe like all the
Hmm.
stuff I've educated myself with, I've learned, I've tried to overcome, and I'm like, how am I here? Like I couldn't. And then like when you realize you're there, you're like it just piles on. You're like, man, I am struggling big time. And then I had the conversation. I'm like, all right. And then you figure out you get back to what you need to do, and away you go. But it was like
Hmm.
that conversation was so important, dude. And it's like people need to understand that there are people out there that can relate to you or want to help you. And it's
Yeah.
not like years past where people are going to judge you. Like there's so many people that will understand or can relate. And if they can't, they'll ask more questions. They'll give you the support that you need.
Right. So let me ask you. I want to share something with you in your audience. It's going to be a little bit of a story, and it's going to be followed by a question, maybe from your advice from a personal standpoint. So a couple of years ago, I was talking to this girl. It was very brief. We met during the Christmas holidays, and
Mm-hmm.
everything seemed to be going okay with us and everything. And we were vibing really well. And on full transparency, I have family up here in Jersey, but I don't have a lot of family. Close family. Like I have a brother that lives in Nevada. My sister and my mother live down in Florida. My father is no longer with us, so it's basically just me up here. And I have friends and family, but there's this sense that I get sometimes of loneliness, and I'm always looking for other friends and so on and so forth, and even this podcast community as an extension of family. But the point is that on this particular holiday, she was very sweet enough to let me come over to her family's house for Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that was very sweet of her because she felt bad because I don't have any immediate family up here, and
Right.
she didn't want me to be alone. And Christmas Eve we had fun. And then she invited me over again in the same house on Christmas Day. But on Christmas Day, I don't know what happened to me, but I was very to myself, like I wasn't engaged in conversation. I
Yep.
was kind of like off in my own world, and I was in my head and my feelings and so on and so forth. Kind of like what you go through and anybody else that goes through this. And sometimes people don't understand it, but it's just a
Yep.
process that you have to go through sometimes. So then afterwards, a couple of days, she wanted to be clear and transparent and asked me what was going on. Was like everything okay? Like you were acting very weird. It was kind of like disrespectful how you were acting towards the family and so on and so forth, especially since I let you, I introduced you to my family
Of
and that's the
course.
way you act.
Yep.
And I attempted to be transparent. Like I was like, listen, I understand where you're coming from. And I first of all, I apologize. But there were some things that were going in my mind. And if you don't mind, I would like to I'm actually busy at work right now, but if you like, we could talk on the phone and I can let
Yep.
you know everything that's going on. But the only thing that she had to say after that was, yeah, listen, I appreciate that, but right now I don't feel like playing therapist. I just think we should go our
Oh,
separate ways. I wish you all the
adios.
best of luck. And that was very unfortunate. But when that happened to me, I was like, wow, I thought I actually had somebody that was going to be in my corner
Yeah.
so I could talk my feelings and so on and so forth. And then they just like shut me out. So the question that I have for you is that whenever you have moments like that, you, me, or anybody else that's watching this personally, if you were in a position like that, how would you move forward with it?
Then it's not meant to be, man. That's not the right person for me. Then,
Hmm.
if you're in that situation and you're willing to open, communicate what happened and what you're going through and how what the situation was, and they're not willing to take the time to listen to it,
Hmm.
adios. Take care. Like, dude, like, listen, man, I'm a single dude, and you go out on dates. Like, listen, I wear a green armband. I have a tattoo that represents mental health struggles and shit like that. People
Hmm.
ask questions, man, and it's you gotta talk about it. Listen, this is
Yeah.
this is what obviously a mental health advocate. But this is something I have dealt with in the past. Sometimes I deal with it, and that's just me. That is who I am. If you can deal with it and understand, wonderful. If you don't want to deal with it, you know what? sorry, man. Like, I can't change for you. This is who I am. And that wasn't the right person for you. That's the way I look at it. Like, you know, it's just.
No, and you're absolutely right. And I do feel that way, especially initially when I felt that. I was like, all right, well, you're obviously not the right person for me. But I guess to kind of extend it a little bit, there's maybe people that may not are able to comprehend with it. And then afterwards, it kind of leads them down to a deeper rabbit hole where it just gets worse and worse from there.
Yeah,
And I
of
was just wondering
course,
from
dude.
I was just wondering from your experience, like, how would you like it, you know, it's easier said than done,
Of course it
basically.
is.
So,
Yep. No, it's not easy, dude. If you say, listen, man, like, you know, I've been there. Like, I've been in this situation before. Like, where you're fucked up. Like, your head is fucked up. And the
mhm.
person that you're with just not understand it. And you
Yeah,
try to explain it. And they're like, listen, man, I can't deal with your bullshit. Well, okay.
mm,
Well, I'm trying to explain to you what I'm going through. Like,
right.
this is some of the struggles I have. It's not, you know, all year long, but there's a period of time this happens sometimes. I try to get my way out of it. If they're not willing to sit and understand it, it sucks, dude. It
Mm,
really sucks. And all you can try to do is communicate to the best of your ability that this is what happens sometimes. And if they can't, I mean, and then it's like, you know what? It's not the right person, not the right time. Maybe give them a couple of days and try again. Be like, listen, this is not, you know, who I am. This is something I struggle with time to time. And
right.
that's it, dude. It's hard, dude. It's very difficult to deal with, especially if somebody is not willing to take the time to understand what mental health issues are, or what depression is, or what the possible struggle is. It is, dude. It's
Right.
just, you're like, you know, not everybody's like that. Some people are like, you know what? You're full of shit. You're just making excuses. Get out of my life. Okay,
Mhm.
well, that's your personality. Then take care then.
Right. And I also say that to say this. Maybe there's going to be people like that. It's unfortunate. It is what
Yep.
it is. But that shouldn't make people feel like they're at the end of the day, there's nobody that they could talk to. I mean,
Right.
ever since I've met you and ever since I started this podcast platform, I've been more productive in the sense that I want to be able to be there for people, especially
Yeah.
because I felt like there wasn't people that were there for me. So I
Yeah.
had to create my own platform so that I could try to help people in any way that I can when there wasn't anything for me. And actually, it's been pretty productive for me as well. It's actually
Yeah.
done wonders for my mental health. But at the end of the day, I also know that it's not a cure-all. It's not something that you could just
Nope.
like do and then, you know, just move on with your life. It's a constant battle every single day. Maybe not every single day, but very so often.
Yeah, and you know what the thing is too is like the response to this has been really great. We get a lot of really great messages stuff like that. But then,
Mm,
you know, like we'll get caught up in our own lives. We'll get, you know, you're doing a lot of shows, I'm doing a lot of shows, you know, and then I'll get this reminder. Like we got a reminder, I don't know, 6 months ago. You
mhm.
know, a friend of mine passed away, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" I'm like, "How did like I just don't understand." You know, like I just saw him; he was doing great, you know, and it's like you have that could have like the other thing that kind of we should kind of communicate a little bit too is like it's okay to reach out to people and say hi. Like, if you ever
Yeah.
wonder about somebody, we have technology. We have these fucking phones, dude. You can text somebody in 5 seconds.
Hmm.
You know what? If you ever wonder about somebody, make the call, make the text, send the email, just reach out. And that is probably the biggest regret I have in this situation is a good friend of mine that we lost touch. We kept saying we're gonna go get a beer, we're gonna go get a beer, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. We never did it. And it was just like, you know, it was like, how does this happen? It's like, and you just don't understand it. And that was like, it's kind of get that constant reminder. And then like in our community, we've had that where unfortunately, you know, suicide is rising amongst teens, dude. In teens,
Yeah.
it's very, very prevalent. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge it, and nobody wants to talk about it because it's like a forbidden topic. Like suicide is very shunned. Like that's a very dirty word. I
Mm,
don't know why it's a dirty word because it's prevalent and it's lives. We're losing like precious lives,
yeah.
you know? And you see it, and that's what it fuels me all the time, dude. It does. Like anytime I see the story, and you know, and it's when it happens to a celebrity, it's terrible, and you get everybody's sharing the hotline number and shit like that, which is I understand that, but it's happening in our community, all around this, people of all ages, and it's just like we have to have more people communicating, feeling comfortable communicating, and be willing to help. Like just it's just it drives me crazy, and it breaks my heart, dude. Like
Yeah.
when you see, I mean, it's just you see the family, you see all the people that are impacted by it, the family, the friends. When you lose somebody so young because they just couldn't overcome their demons, dude, it's
Mhm.
heartbreaking. Where it's like, you know what? Could you have helped? Could somebody else have helped? Like it's tough, dude. It's really really tough to see.
Yeah, and one thing that really gets me angry, like legitimately angry, is when you have tragedies that happen in this world. And I don't mean to bring this up and like too much or anything, but we had the mass shooting at a school not too long ago in Texas, and what really made me angry is not only did that situation happen and there were innocent lives that were taken, and it was a terrible tragedy, but then they try to make it all political, and they try to like put the blame on, they try to use mental health as an excuse, and then they try to like win this argument or that argument. I'm like, you guys are missing the big fucking picture. Like, innocent lives were lost here, and you guys are arguing about what my side or this side should be doing. And I don't, and the blame game. And I don't want to get too political or anything like that. This is not what the show is about. But when you try to put the stigma of mental health being the cause of why this person did such a heinous act, it casts a shadow over everybody else that's actually dealing with these kind of things, and it gets me so angry, and it leaves the door open for people to be more judgmental to people that are really suffering. And you could hear it in my voice right now how much it aggravates me when it gets all politicized and everything.
Yeah, there's like, there is, that happens a lot, dude. It's unfortunate. And then at the same time, you have the opposite, where there's a lot of new like initiatives coming out there with a lot more mental health hotlines are popping up. Support groups are popping up. There's a lot of things, but it's just, it's a wacky world, man. It really is. And it's just, there's so many things that are going on. It's they get lost in the headlines. They just get lost. Like there's, it's like it's just,
the world is already the world is already a shitty place, and then you're just adding more fuel to the fuel to the fire, and then it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, so it's just, I guess it's just recognizing, that it's to have the courage to say, you know what, I need help, reach out and get the help. And whether it's friends, family, hotlines, the 988 number they have now. And I'm telling you, it's not easy to do, but you have to, man. Like you can't give up. Like it's just, and it's simple as that. Like, it's just like, you just can't give up. There's going to be, if you can get through that moment, just get through that minute, get through the hour, get through the day, you're going to be all right. Like it's just, you just can't quit. You know what I mean? Like you just can't.
Absolutely.
And when you get to the point where you feel like you're going to quit, when you're at that point right there is when you say, you know what, I need fucking help, man, because quitting is not an option. Like I can't. Like, you know what I mean? There's just, today's not the end day. Like, you know what I mean? Like today's not it. When you start thinking it's the end, is the moment you gotta say, you know what, I need help immediately to get me out of this, because life is too precious. I don't want to give up. You know what I mean? That's kind of my message. Like I don't like this my last friend, dude. I still can't get over it, to be honest with you. I'm still in shock. It's like, I just don't understand. And you wish you could help. And that's why we do these videos. And like I said, we're not therapists. We're not professionals. We probably, we try to do our best to communicate. But the whole thing is to have people have the conversation. And if you're watching this and you feel like you don't understand something, or you want to understand, or you have feedback, dude, you can message either one of us. Dude, I'll take text messages, direct messages, emails, however you want to contact us, reach out. I'm cool with it.
Right.
Have the conversation.
Yeah, and I actually want to give this opportunity to shout out to a man by the name of Jonathan, who lives out in Las Vegas. After the last Let's Talk Mental Health episode that you and I did, Tyson, he actually reached out to me, and the message that he gave me made my day, though. It said something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing here, but it says something along the lines about how, it really felt great to hear somebody that's willing to listen to me. And he shared a little bit of detail of what he was going through with his father, because I lost my father as well. And, he legit told me that he actually shed a couple of tears watching our episode. And I'm just glad that we were able to help him out. And we haven't really spoke that much on Twitter or on social media in general, but I know that he's a supporter. And I just want to let him know, especially if he's watching now, that, listen, we don't talk a lot, we don't engage a lot in conversation, but I know who you are, I know what you're about, I know what you're going through. And if there's any shit that's going on in your life, feel free to hit me up, man. I'm all about it. And I also say that to hopefully realize as well that if I'm going through something, that I can hit you up as well. Yep, because absolutely. At the end of the day, man, even though you and I can talk about it, we're still human at the end of the day, man. That doesn't mean that we don't go through it ourselves.
Yeah, the goal is to have people talking about it, whatever it is, like either talking to us, talking to where else. Like I said, I'm not a professional. I try to study, I try to learn, I share my own experiences. That helps somebody, great. If it doesn't help you, maybe when somebody else deals with somebody is dealing with this, you can help them. Like, it's just get the conversation going, man. And seriously, like, we've gotten all kinds of I get all kinds of messages, dude. And I will talk to anybody. And if I don't have an answer, guess what? I will help you find it. Hey, you know what? Try this one. Try this resource. Try that. Like, but let's find an answer, because it's not worth quitting and giving up, and it's not worth suffering. Like, it's going to happen, but you can find ways out of it. You know what I mean? And you have to it's like making a commitment to yourself, man. Like, you know how like people commit to, like, this year I want to lose 35 pounds, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. Okay. Well, then you commit to say, you know what? I want to improve my mental health. I want to get out of this. I want to live a better life. I want to be more productive. I want to feel better about myself. And that's the commitment you got to make. So you commit to it. You have the courage to get the help you need. And I guarantee you will feel better about it. Like, you will get out of that that moment. You'll get out of that gray area that you're stuck in, and you'll feel better about things.
Yeah. I have a question. How deep will you allow us to get into this conversation while we're still on?
God, I know where to go.
No, I'm just the reason I'm saying that is because I feel like I have a story that I would like to share, and the only thing that I'm worried about is I don't want it to come off as like triggering or anything like that. But I feel like it has some silver lining at the end of the day. If you allow me to speak on it,
Go for it.
all right. So. And you know what's crazy about the story is it's ironic because even though we're not talking about the Jets, it actually involves the Jets some way, shape, or form. So a couple of years ago, and this is when I actually started watching you on YouTube and so on and so forth. I was going through a really, really rough breakup, and it was to the point where it was just eating me up. I've never been in a darker place. That, along with everything else that was going on in my life, and long story short, there was this was back in 2019, and it was there was a situation where an ex-girlfriend of mine who is not into football, not even a Jets fan, she ended up going to a game with her then boyfriend or current boyfriend. I don't know. I don't speak to her. I don't know anything about their life. But during this time, while we were still in communication, they went to a game together, and it really teared me apart because while we were together, I offered to take us to a game, to do this, do that, whatever, and she just refused. She just never wanted to. And then she goes off and does it with that guy, and it was the game where it was Sam Darnold's second year, where it was him against the Vikings, and where they just got demolished. But I wasn't caring about the game at that point. I was just really upset that they were willing to do that with that person. They wouldn't do it with me. So that actually put me in a dark place, and it made me feel like, well, maybe I'm not worthy after all. Maybe I am such a piece of shit. Maybe I don't deserve to live. And the part that gets really dark about this is that while I'm there drinking my ass off and not only watching the game, but I'm going crazy, man. Like, not only am I watching the game, but I'm actually looking at in the audience on TV to see if I actually see them together. Like, it's also like I'm putting myself through torture. And I was also adding alcohol into the mix, and I legitimately went outside to my balcony with the intention of jumping off. And if it wasn't for a phone call from a family member that got me to come back inside and not do it, then I probably would have jumped. And what ties all this in together is that not long after that, you actually did, I believe, the very first episode of Let's Talk Mental Health, where you weren't even talking about the Jets. You were talking about, wanted to speak to somebody and going through people that are going through depression and going through rough times, and you wanted to be there for them. So that actually gave me the initiative. You probably don't remember this, but this gave me the initiative to actually DM you on Twitter, and I basically gave you the rundown of what I was talking about just now. And I don't remember exactly what you said. I wish I still had the message, but it still stuck with me. And you actually gave me some words of encouragement, and I don't think I've ever told you that. So that's one. First of all, thank you for giving me the words of encouragement. If there's anybody out there that has any trepidation of, somebody like Tyson or me that's trying to help out and legitimately wants to help out there, that should be in action right there. Because listen, you guys can talk to me if you need help. You guys can talk to Tyson if you want. And I just proved to you right now that this man right here on the side of the screen, he actually helped me get better through a dark time in my life. And it was one of the few factors on top of many others that helped me to build my character and to build the person that I am right now. And I just personally want to thank you for that, Tyson, for the words of encouragement. And I also want to give a thankful to myself as well, because at the end of the day, I was the one that got myself out of the fire, got myself out of what I was going through. And I'm not where I want to be, but I'm definitely thriving compared to where I was back then.
Well, first of all, I'm glad that you didn't do that, and that's just that. First of all, thank you for sharing that. Man, it takes a lot of courage to even share that. And
I'll admit that was a little tough to talk about, but yeah.
But and you know what? And it's funny because when I was at my darkest times, where I was really struggling, what I would do is I would drink heavily, dude, like blackout drink, like just drink for like, you know what? Drink where you're like, if I don't wake up, I really don't care. Like, that's how drunk I would get. Cause I was like, you'd be so dark. Like, you wouldn't know what to do, man. Like, you're just like, and I would do the same shit. And that's something that you got to realize too. It's like, like, all right, things are really bad, but don't like, sometimes using drugs actually makes it a lot worse for you. Like you add in, you're really in those bad places where you don't know what to do. Something like alcohol makes it 10 times worse. It does, because what happens is once you wake up, you feel 30 times worse. You have your hangover, you feel like shit, your body feels terrible, and you still have the things you're dealing with. You know what I mean? So it's It's tough, man. That I'm so glad you didn't do that. I'm glad that you look how much you bounced back, bro. Like look where you're
Yeah.
at now. Like it's simple.
Yeah,
It's
and you know, it's also funny how things can coincide and align with each other because
yep.
to add on top of that story a little bit, one of my dear friends in the whole wide world, she actually was happened to be at that game as well. Now, this is somebody that doesn't know my ex or anything like that. It was just circumstance, and they happened to be at that game as well, and I was able to confide in them and share them that story as well. But I just found that how crazy how circumstantial or not that to me, for some weird way, it gave me validation that okay, this person doesn't care about me anymore, but this other person that was at that game
Yep.
actually does give a shit about me. And I kind of just, I don't know, maybe it was kind of weird or whatever. I just kind of took it as a sign that you know what, you like at least there was somebody there that cared for your well being.
Yep. No, absolutely, dude. And that's something too that you realize like over time. It's like you have like you have friends, you have acquaintances, you have people you trust, but you don't trust, and that's something that I think when you try to go to a situation like this, you need to find somebody you can really confide in and trust and know that they have your best interest in mind. You know what I mean? That's something you got to
Mhm.
try to find too. Like it's sometimes it's really hard to find where you're like, man, like
Right.
you don't know what you're getting yourself into, and if you can't find that, that's what you have therapists for, and that's what you have the hotline for. Where it's like, you know what, I don't trust like one one of my biggest issues were when dealing with this is that I was okay with confiding in people, but my biggest fear was a lot of people like to gossip and talk shit.
Yeah.
So they would help you, like say whatever. Say I tell you, hey man, Jason, all this shit. You'd help me, but then you go tell every fucking guy around, oh look at this
Oh.
shit, man. And it's like, and that was my other fear that I would have. I'm like, you know what? I want to speak out and get the help, but I don't want to be the talk of town. I don't want to be like, I don't want everybody to know my situation. I just want help for myself. Like I want to be a one-on-one conversation where I can get the assistance that I need and we could all move on. And if it can't be with a friend or family member, then it has to be a therapist or it has to be a hotline because that's all confidential, dude. They don't
Yeah.
they don't talk about you. And so that's the other fear that's out there too. It's like, and that's actually happened to me. And now I have a lot more. I just don't give a fuck people think about me anymore. Like I genuinely don't care. Like I
Right.
don't care if people think about me. Like you could judge me all you want. I'm gonna be outspoken. I'm gonna be brash. I'm gonna tell you how I feel, and I want to help people. So you want to judge me? Go for it. I
Yeah.
don't really care. But that was the one fear I had, dude. Was like people gossiping and saying all this shit, and it's like, all right, that's like it's not ideal. Then I'm like, you know what? Go a different route. You have to, but
Mhm.
just still get the help.
Right. And listen, I've talked about this subject plenty of times on your platform, on my platform, and while a lot of the reception of it has been really great, there are still a couple of bad apples out there, for lack of
Yep.
a better term, that wondering like, well, why did you talk about that? Why did you say that? Like, are you crazy? Like, but at the end of the day, I realized that what, I'm not doing it for you guys. I mean,
Nope.
if anything, I'm glad that you guys are listening because it actually
Yep.
shows that the numbers are there and you guys are actually paying attention. But to judge me or to point out that I shouldn't be doing that or like maybe pull back a little bit, no, because if anything, I'm not doing it for clicks. I'm not doing it
Mm-mm.
for controversy. I'm not doing it for likes or
Nope.
subscriptions or anything like that. I did it because in that moment it was beneficial for me, for my mind and from how I feel, and being able to get that weight off my shoulders. That's what I care about. So when I started to focus on that, I was like, all right, well, just go ahead with your little criticism and judgment. At the end of the day, it's not going to stop me from doing it. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
should
don't.
know by now that I've been as stubborn this long that I'm not going to take into consideration what you're saying because
No.
maybe you're looking out for me, but if I feel good about it, then be happy for me.
Yeah, I don't care, dude. Like I don't care. Like if these, I will take the criticism of 1,000 people if these videos help one person. That's the way I look
Yeah.
at it. Like
Yep.
that, I genuinely like we don't monetize these videos. We don't advertise these videos. We don't do shit. It's just a video we're putting out there
Hmm.
into the stratosphere to say, you know what? If you struggle with mental health issues and you want to see a discussion about it, here it is. You want
Right.
to watch it, great. If you don't, you want to share it to somebody else, share it. That's all we're
Right.
doing. We're not trying to, like you said, we're not trying to gain followers, subscribe, nothing. It's just having this conversation. See, people realize that people are struggling and there's other sides to it. And there's other ways to get help. And like the stigmas and all this other shit out there is real. And and like I said, I'm not a professional, bro. I just
No.
deal with it. And I watch a lot of videos. I read a lot. I research, and just try to figure out ways to help people, man. Because I'm telling you, it's so prominent. And the weirdest thing is, we just had the green and white practice, what, a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago, the Jets.
Yep.
And we had like a little Let's Talk Jets thing. People are showing up. I got probably pulled aside about 6 times, dude. People saying, "Hey, man, I really appreciate the mental health issues. My daughter deals with this, or my
Mm.
my son deals with this." And like people sharing very intimate information. And then like a guy in my gym shared like a really serious story about his daughter. And I was like, wow, like I have no idea. Like, you know, like, and I'm like, well, I'm like, you know what? If this helped anything, like that's awesome. That's the goal of this. Like
Yeah.
that's it. Like I don't like that's all this is just find ways to help people. Say, you know what? People are struggling. People need help. Get the help you need. It's gonna be better. You just can't quit. Quitting is not an option.
Right. And also to reiterate, you know, when people when you're going through things like this, like we're talking about, and then you have that moment where you feel like you know you're feeling in a good place and so on and so forth, don't make don't make the mistake of thinking that all right, it's just gone from now and then afterwards you can move on in your life. This is an everyday thing, man. Because one of the things that I learned personally is that I know that I had a good day, but I also remember what the dark times that I went through. Not to dwell on it or anything, but just know that it happened to me, and it keeps me humble. It keeps me focused, and makes me realize that all right, I have to keep working on this. You know, it's the same thing as working out, man. I mean, you could be, you know, you could do your diets, you could do working out and everything. You can get shredded, but then afterwards, once you know reach your goal, and then that's it. You're gonna go back to the way you were, where you were in a shitty place and where you weren't feeling good about yourself.
No, that's a great point, dude. That's something that I've learned. That's like you can have many good days, many good months, but you got to keep in mind, like it can happen again. Like it's not always forever cured. Unfortunately, it's you'd like to think it is, but like I just went through myself, dude, just recently.
Yeah.
You know, like I was doing great, man. I'm like I figured it out. I was like, all right, like I know my triggers. I know what to do. I know when I'm going down the wrong path. I know all this shit, and bam, I'm like, oh, like no way. You know what I mean? Like you just don't get it, and then it's like, all right. You know, and then, but that's a great point, dude. It's just something that you got to keep in mind all time. Like, it's just do your best to, you know, just keep moving forward, keep working on yourself. That's the most like just improving yourself, working on yourself, and just recognizing where you need areas of improvement, things you may have to change. And a lot of times it could be changing things, dude. The other thing we didn't talk about was sometimes you could put yourself in environments that bring you down the wrong path. Like, you gotta identify where it's like if you're hanging out with a certain group of people, doing a certain group of things, and the result of that is you spiraling down a path where your mindset is not good, then you know what you need to do? Change your friends or change the environment or avoid that environment. And don't do it. And that may be tough to do. That may be some of your best friends. It may even be family members, dude, where you're around certain family members. And it's like, you know what? Every time I'm around you, I don't feel good about myself. And I go back into these mindsets I don't like being in. Well, you know what? You've got to change the course then. And it could be tough, but sometimes you got to make tough decisions. And that's for your own benefit, you know, and it's something, you know, you could talk to them about it and then you can have the conversation like, listen, guys, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like when we do this or whatever the circumstance is. But if it doesn't change and you keep finding yourself in the same situation, you got to change the environment, man.
Bro, I'm so glad that you said that because I went through something like that not too long ago where I have a couple of family members where I just don't engage in conversation with them or I don't talk to them because they're not doing anything for my mental well-being right now. And that's not to say that I'll never speak to them again. It's just that at the moment, it's just not the right time. But unfortunately, you have these other family members that they're trying to be the, they're trying to be the mediator or whatever, you just got to forget about it, put it in the past, your family, whatever. Like, no, you if anything, you're just doing it to pat yourself on the back because you were able to mediate the situation. You're not wondering about, you're not caring about what's going on in my head or why I'm acting this way or why I'm doing this. Like you got to look at it from both sides. You can't look at it as just, this is just a family thing. We got to stick together, so on and so forth. No, I mean, it's sad to say, but it's the truth that sometimes even our own family members are the ones that causes the most toxicity.
Yeah, and that's that perfect word, dude. Toxicity. That's the word. Like there are toxic situations, there are toxic people that you need to recognize, but you know what? This is something I need to avoid. And I know exactly what it is. I've figured out for myself what the situations are. I know exactly what they are, where I'm like, you know what? This is not gonna be productive for me. So, and that's where we talked about earlier, was like finding things that you enjoy, things that make you prosper, things that make you feel happy, things that benefit you. Find those things. And those are things you kind of focus more on. And those things that kind of bring you down or are taking away from what your wealth, your mental welfare, start eliminating them, dude. And it may be tough, dude. Like I had to literally, remove myself from certain friend groups. Like, you know what, man, this isn't my thing. Man. Like I would always, because you always want to be a part of the crowd and be a part of this. You want to feel like you're in part of all this stuff. But I'm like, I don't feel good about myself being here. Like I'm not enjoying myself. And I come home empty. And I feel like I'm just not, like something's wrong. I'm like, why do I keep doing this? Like, it's easier to do something else that I feel like I'm more productive and I'm going to, benefit from. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Absolutely. Do you realize how many times I've been in those situations? And I still kind of go through it every now and then, but I just deal with it the best that I can. But one thing that I will say is that I've gotten older, and I've try to make progress with myself. I handle the situation differently, as opposed to just blowing up in front of everybody and making a scene. Because unfortunately, that's who I was at one point in my life. But it goes in line with everything we've just been saying this entire time. It's a constant battle. You just got to keep on going. It's not going to be a cure all. Just got to keep on fighting and keep on just going through it. Got to go with emotions. Got to just realize that it's not going to be over, and it's not going to be an overnight thing or anything like that. Just got to keep working on it.
Yeah, it is. It's a constant process, man. You're constantly working on
There
yourself.
you go. Constant process. Yes.
It's a constant process. You got to constantly work on yourself, constantly understand what's going on, try to evolve, and it's just, and like I said, we're like, this is like an hour conversation. We're not trying to simplify things, because none of this is easy.
No.
None of this happens in 5 minutes. None of it happens in a day. It takes effort. It takes time. It takes courage, and it takes commitment to yourself. Like, you seriously got to commit to it, man. Like,
Right.
You've really got to say, you know what? I need to change. I need to get help. And it's okay. Like, the help is there. It's like, it's all around this. It's just a matter of maximizing it and using it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And to verify that even further, I'm pretty sure that everything that we spoke about on this episode is very similar to the last one that we did.
Yep.
But that just goes to show that this is something that has to keep on going. We have to keep on talking about it. And I'm pretty sure that you and I are going to have future episodes where it seems like a very, very similar wave and conversation that we're talking about. But that's the whole point. The whole point is that we got to realize that we're all in this together, and we got to keep on fighting and keep, doing what we need to do. It's going to be a constant reminder. And with that being said, something that I said in the previous episode that we did before, and I'm going to also reiterate it this time around, people out there also need to realize that sometimes when you have me or Tyson or anybody else that are like us, that, we preach, for lack of a better term, saying that if there's anybody out there that that needs help or needs to talk to somebody, we want to be there for you and help out. That's also in some kind of way. That's also a little bit of a cry for help. Sometimes, like, we're not saying it directly, but we're also kind of saying in a way like, hey, maybe I would like somebody to talk to as well, and maybe you could be that person as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that's like a two-way conversation,
yes.
man. You know what I mean? It's like, listen, everybody had the conversation, man. It's so important, dude. It really is. It is so. I'm telling you, I had it myself. The conversation. I was like, man, that's good. Like, it's just like, what a relief, But it's true. And the thing is too, is just the other aspect of this is just think, if you're like, say you're watching this video and you're like, I can't relate to any of this. Fine. You know what?
Right.
Maybe somebody in your life is dealing with it.
Yes.
So be open-minded to help them. Or like I'll keep saying, like, just if you haven't talked to somebody in a while, send them a text, give them a call, see how they're doing, check in and see what's going on. You never know what you may hear back in return. Maybe they are going through something. Maybe who knows? But just keep those doors open for everybody, especially now when we can text like crazy and do all kinds of stuff, man. It's like, and just got to do it, man. And I don't know. It's been a rough few months for me, just with things going on. It's just like, man. And then you have conversations, and you're right. We probably did repeat a lot of stuff from our last show, but since our last show, I've had conversations with people. I'm like, wow, like, we talked about this, like, literally talked about the social media stuff and getting help and hotlines. Like, it's like, so it bears worth repeating, because if you didn't watch that show and you see this one, maybe something helped here.
Exactly. And from the previous episode that we did, I personally want to give a shout out and a thanks to every single one of you guys that left comments, because reading those comments it made my day. It was very overwhelming, and it made me feel like we actually did something that was very important. And also want to reiterate that we're not going anywhere. We're still going to be there for every one of you guys that left comments in the previous episode, that's going to leave comments in this one and future ones. We're all in this together, guys. You got my love. You got my support. Don't be afraid to reach out to me, Jason Enrique _ on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me anywhere and reach out to me. I've already done that with other people that I never even met on a face-to-face basis, but I'm just happy to do it. And also keep in mind, people, that, I'm just human, just like the rest of y'all. Maybe I need somebody to talk to every now and then. And, I want to thank all of the people that are watching and listening and feel that same way. And especially also to you, Tyson. Thank you for not just being a great fellow content creator just because we like the Jets, but I actually also really consider you a really good dear friend of mine. And the crazy thing is, I've only met you once for like 10 minutes, but I feel closer to you than a lot of other people in my life, because you actually give a fuck.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, dude. And you made a really good point. Is we're all in this together. Like
Hmm.
literally, we're all in this together. Like I said, if you don't feel comfortable, like I answer, dude. Well, people know me on YouTube, dude. You leave a comment in my video, I'm answering every goddamn
Yes.
comment. I answer every one of them. I'll spend hours doing it. You send me
Hmm.
a direct message, good or bad, I'm responding to it. Like I'll respond to everything. May not be, instantaneously, but I'll get to it. So reach out to us if you want to. And if you know what, if you're not comfortable, dude, there's a hotline, man. 988. There's therapists. There's so many different avenues to use, but just use it. Like
Hmm.
find that. Just don't give up is the most important thing. But like I said, if
Right.
you want, dude, I'm not going nowhere. I'm always, people know me, dude. I'm all over social media doing some kind of
Yeah.
nonsense. Reach out, talk about it, and it's like, got to do it, man. You just have to do it because giving up
Yes.
is just not an option, man. It's just, this world is it's just too much people, too many people suffering in silence, and it has to stop. It's courageous to do. It takes a lot of risk. And I want to give a really big shout out to Jose, Jose Rodriguez on Let's Talk Jets, who is one of my favorite callers, who had the courage to, on his YouTube channel, make a video about things he's dealing with.
That was a
And
great
dude,
video, man. I saw
bro,
that. That was
it's like,
amazing.
dude, I started tearing up. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is exactly what it is. This is how we change all these stigmas, is people having the courage and the ability to say, you know what? This is what I'm dealing with. This is what it's all about. I was so proud of him, dude. Like I was like in tears. I was so happy for him. I'm like, and that's progress. That's the kind of world I want to live in. That's the kind of environment we want to foster. So for all the assholes out there that are doing really stupid shit, there's a lot of people trying too, man. And you kind of want to focus more on that. So I just want to, I'm sure Jose's watching this. Dude, that was so awesome, man. That was so cool.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, man. Because I'm not gonna lie, man, you made a grown man cry with that shit as well. So
Yeah.
shout out to Jose, man. You're an inspiration. You're a great guy,
Yep.
and you're not alone. We're here for you, brother. We are.
Yep. Yeah, no, he does. I was just like, wow. I was just overwhelmed, dude. I was like, just so awesome. And hopefully more people do that. And I met somebody. They were talking about, I want to do a channel about this, something they deal with. And I was like,
Mhm.
do it. I'm like, you never know who you can help. Like the best thing about YouTube is that this is global, dude. Like this video could be seen in Switzerland and Ireland and
Yep.
whatever. Like you don't know. All it takes is this video to see one person to help them. So if you feel inspired to say, you know what, I'm dealing with mental health issues. I want to share my story. And I want to do this. Do it. Share
Mhm.
it. And see if you can help somebody. If you want to come on this show and talk to us about it, more power. Hey, you know what? I want to share my story. We'll interview you and talk about it. But
Yes.
that's what they foster that environment. People share more. So when you share these stories, people say, you know what? I'm not alone. Like, wait, I deal with that, or I had that problem. And that's the most important thing, is like, you're not alone. People are dealing with this all over the place, and we could
Right.
all help each other.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. Maybe one of these days we could have, you and me could have somebody on
I'm
this
down.
platform, but we talk to them.
I'm down. People want to share their stories. I'm 1000%
Yes.
down to talk about it. And like I said, we're real, we're raw. We're by no means experts or doctors. We
No.
just share from our own personal experiences. And just the whole goal is to help, man.
Yeah.
Just foster the conversations, man. That's all we can try to do
Yeah.
here. And
And
try to
the
make
only
it
thing
bigger.
that we're charging is your time. That's it.
That's it. And that's free. Well, what we'll do is we'll
Yeah.
wrap it up. Give out your information again, how people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, you could reach me at JasonEnrique _ on Instagram and Twitter. The podcast, First Class, Second Place, available right now. The podcast is actually on vacation. I'm trying to enjoy the rest of the summer. I'm kind of taking a break and everything like that. Trust
Vacation? I don't get no vacations.
No, trust me, man. This is something that I needed to do for my well-being. But it is coming back in September, and I know I mentioned this before, but September not only coming back with the audio, but it's finally happening with the video. So you'll be seeing on YouTube real, real soon.
It's
But
about
that's where
time.
yeah, it's about time, man. Everyday life, brother. But yeah, no, that's where you can find me, JasonEnrique _ thank you everybody for listening out there. Just know that you're not alone. It's okay to be not okay. I'm not trying to say this as buzzwords or cliche and everything. I really mean it truly from the heart, because like I said, I'm just like the rest of you guys. I'm human. I'm vulnerable. I'm humble, and I'm always looking for people to talk to, not just to help them out, but also to help myself out as well. I'm not special. I'm not anything. I'm just somebody that gives a shit. I care, and I want the best for myself, and I want the best for you and everybody else. And also, thanks again, Tyson. I really appreciate it. Yeah, this is awesome, man. I can't wait for the next one, honestly.
Yeah, no, we'll keep doing them, man. Like I said, we got caught up with football started and life and summer and all this other shit. We'll do more of these, and people want to come on, great. Or we could even get on, like I know a person that actually deals with mental health stuff. Maybe get her on, talk about it, and see, she could share some of her experiences too. And
I think I know somebody as well, so maybe we'll put that in the works.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, you want to leave comments, you want to message us, whatever else, do it. And we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you, guys.
All right, dude. That was fucking an hour. Holy shit.
It felt well like it went by fast.
It did.
But I had a great time, man. I had a great time.
So everything okay with you? You doing all right?
Yeah. Honestly,